me for my most flawless complexion look. This is by request. I had questions about what do I use when I want a flawless look on my skin, because typically I'm going for something less flawless, in fact more realistic, and I like the feeling of less makeup anyway. But when it does come to when I want a flawless appearance, or as close to flawless as I can get, I pull for a very specific product that I haven't used in a while. It was a favorite, and it is the Chantecaille Future Skin Cushion. So I'm going to show you that in application in combination with other products like powders, blushes, concealers, things like that, that got me here. And also I used one of my favorite palettes, a lip that's going to last a long time, and I'm also showing you a dupe because Endless Pink, if you're a fan of the Le Rouge Duos and you loved Endless Pink, I have Endless Pink on, but I also have a dupe for it using 2 other shades that are available by Chanel. And we're also going to do a wear test. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and start with the base. Now this would be more for evening because I'm not going to apply SPF, which I usually do during the daytime, although you can. I would go in with something like the Tatcha SPF 50. I think that's a really great mineral one. But we're gonna go in with the anti-pollution mattifying cream because I can tend to get oily in the center here, and it just helps to keep that oil from interfering with the performance of the makeup. We're gonna go in with 2 of the Future Skin Cushion foundations. This is the most flawless foundation that I have that stays in place for a long time. So we'll do a wear test as well. I have one in Nude and in Wheat, and these are brand new. So let me just show you. They come in a little compact like this with a sponge, which I don't use. I use a brush. They come sealed like this. So you peel this open. You can see the foundation's right in there. Wheat as well, same thing. And then with the box, let me just show you really quickly if you've never purchased this before. A backup one is included. So this is Nude and this is Wheat. So you can see they look very close in the compact there, but I'll show you what they look like on also. So here's the box that it comes in. And if you look inside, they spend a lot of time on these inserts as well. So make sure to read them, but this supports these little baby elephants too. I believe it purchases a bottle of milk for a baby elephant, which is not like a regular bottle. It's a large bottle, it's a special formula. So some of the purchase goes to those proceeds. Now there is a cushion here. It's nice and airtight sealed. So it's gonna be ready for you to go when you need to change it out. Another tip is when it starts to run low, is to take the sponge out and flip it over because there's typically quite a bit of foundation in the bottom there. We're gonna go ahead with Nude in the center of my face. It's pinkier, it's more light than Wheat. I'm just taking my Shiseido brush and I'm patting it in there to get some of the product. It's a really great winter shade for me, but I will mix foundations as you know. So let me just get a little bit of this in the center here. This is one of the few foundations I'll apply to my nose because it doesn't show texture or anything like that. Mostly if you see me apply foundation, I'm skipping my nose because it's got some texture here from pores. So this one though is so thin and lightweight that I can apply it with no problem. Now this one can be used as a concealer as well, and I'll show you that in a minute, but let me go in with Wheat here. So now we've got Wheat. I'm gonna take the same brush. I'm just flipping it so one of the petals is picking up Wheat and not mixing it too much. And this is their highest coverage foundation, so you can definitely build it up if you want to. I'm gonna go all the way to the exterior, which is what I normally don't do because I typically don't love the feeling of foundation on my face, but again, this is super lightweight. And there's more of a golden tone to Wheat as well. And I do have 2 shades in the Future Skin, the original foundation, as well as their tinted moisturizer, so we'll do a comparison of those as well in the future. If you're interested in their complexion products, I think they make some of the best complexion products. Now, what's interesting about this foundation is it starts to adapt to your skin tone. So even though there are very few offerings compared to a lot of lines of shades, they over time, like give it a few minutes, will adjust to the skin tone, which I think is a really interesting kind of aspect of this foundation that I don't see in a lot of foundations. So if you can find something that's close, like undertone wise, I think you'll be in good shape. My chin is where I can sometimes forget I have discoloration. So I need to add a little bit more here. As always, I don't like to add too much makeup because I like the look of skin, perfected skin, but this is the one that I can really layer up and not have an issue. So we're gonna take a little bit of Nude. I just wanna show you how I can use that as a concealer. So just taking a little bit here on my clean hands, just patting this on, just to concentrate it a little bit more. I'm gonna take my brush here and just feather out the edges and stipple. Now, in order to do a nice wear test on this, I'm applying this during the day. So I'm gonna add a little bit, just because I don't wanna go with 0 SPF. I'm gonna add a little bit of my Clé de Peau. Yeah, just a little bit of my Clé de Peau, but I want to show you that that's how you can use this as a concealer as well. It doesn't work as well with wheat, but it works really well with Nude. So you can see my dark spots are virtually gone. So they're not as severe either, which is nice. Okay, I'm gonna let that settle in before I go in with the Clé de Peau, but I'm going to use my Chanel Under Eye Concealer. Now, if you want something more for the under eye and not a glow, then I would go with the Sisley. As you can see, this foundation is adapting. It has now really meshed well with my skin tone. I'll show you, gosh, that's such a great concealer. This is one of the most innovative products that I have tried in my years on YouTube here. And the reason it didn't make the foundation even the top 5 last year is because it is really perfecting, which is kind of funny that I don't typically go for that. I like to see more of my skin than anything else show through and just a little bit of concealer. But when I want something super, super perfected for a long time, I will go with this. So this is my most flawless foundation for sure. Dot, dot, dot. Then I'm just gonna, since this is such a narrow brush, I'm just gonna use this to kind of distribute that. So now you've seen the power of that foundation as a concealer, but I am gonna go in with Clé de Peau because I have to run an errand outside and I have no SPF on, which I never do, but I wanted to do that with you just so we could see what this looks like on with using it as a foundation with no other elements interfering like SPF. Otherwise I would have gone in with a Tatcha, but I feel like it's gonna alter the way this foundation looks. So taking one for the team today, but I'm gonna go ahead and just blend this in. I'm gonna add an eye base, this one in medium. I had to go and find a powder puff. I laundered a bunch, I don't know where they are though. But when I want something to really adhere well for a long time, I will go in with a loose powder first. Got here the La Mer powder, and I like this one because it's got a peachy tone to it, which you can see there. Just gonna make sure I get that in the powder puff. And then I'm just gonna press right in the center of my face, so not everywhere. So just applying it in the center, right where I have oil breaking through over time. Really getting it in there. Yeah, the powder puff that comes with this, I think there's a really nice one, but I don't know where that is now. Not too much powder, I just want to press that in there really well though. So now we're gonna do the typical powder routine, which is this combo. I have them out already. The Perfect Blur Powder and the Perfect Blur Glow Powder. My Buff and Blur brush, right in the center. And then I'm gonna buff that out here because we're gonna just really perfect everything. I don't usually do this, but if I need it perfected all the way around, we'll apply it everywhere. This helps smooth the appearance of the texture as well as the evenness of the skin tone. So even though I didn't load on the foundation, this adds a little bit more perfecting as well. So I don't worry too much about my foundation being super perfect just by itself because I know I'm going to go in with powder. So something like this is going to blur discoloration. It's going to blur the texture of the skin, making it look more even. And then this is also going to help refract the light, going in with the glow version now of the Lotus Perfect Blur Glow Powder. So it's gonna refract the light, it's gonna blur, it's gonna bring about that bone, not texture, bone structure. Just adding to the perfected look without adding too much. So really thin layers of various products for different purposes. So we're gonna go ahead and add brows, and I'm gonna go in with the typical brow duo by Chanel. I'm gonna use the powder side here. And I'm gonna add another brow product that I don't normally use because it's an extra step, but when I want things really nice, I'll use it. So we're gonna go in with this Terracotta because I've successfully misplaced, again, all of the implements that go in here. There are like 4 different ones, which are really great for travel, but they're so little and they roll out like there's nothing to keep them in place. So they've rolled out of here somehow. And now I don't know where they are. So I'm using this one, and it's a really nice brush for brow product application. So I'm gonna do this just to build the shape, really soft. This is great for photos also because it's not going to bounce the light off and have a shiny eyebrow, if that's what you're going for. Some brow products like the waxier kinds can catch the light and then reflect in like a flash photo. I think it depends on your skin type too, because I can tend to get oily here. So that also doesn't help me. Okay, so we got that shape carved out super quick and easy, which is why I love this product so much. Just repeat. Okay, let's go ahead with my brow gel. Oh boy, I hope I didn't break that blush because I broke it once already. Okay, it's intact. Okay, we're gonna use this later. It's Joy, but I love that blush and was so sad the first time I dropped it because it broke, so that's the second one I have. We're gonna go in with the DIOR Show On-Site Brow. Really is the best brow gel for me because it holds everything in place with these coarse brows, not very many of them, that like to go in the direction they like to go in. So this helps get them in the direction I would like them to go in. The extra step that I do is when I want things a little bit more perfected. So I'm gonna go in with a pencil. So this is the REVITALASH high def brow pencil, I was gonna say gel, brow pencil. And this one is in, I think it's cool brown. Yeah, cool brown, which is what I love. I love a cool brown pencil for my eyebrows because anything red, any little bit of red, or sometimes it looks purple, will really show up. So if I can get a cooler brown shade, better, like with a gray element to it. I'm gonna build these up just a little bit down here. So I'll fill in any sparse areas. I'm gonna cheat this going up and out a little bit more. Yeah, so those of you with even brows, I feel like that's half the battle right there is getting them even. So if you don't have to do that, then I think that's really time saving, but I have to even them out. So we're gonna go with Tisse Rivoli. It is my most flawless eyeshadow palette, really. This shade, actually, let's take this shade and go all over the lid. I'm gonna go with a lighter color first here. Get a little bit more of a contrast going. This is such an easy palette to use too, so no fuss kind of palette that looks beautiful every time. Next, we're going to take this fluffy brush. It's the 201 by BK Beauty, and I'm going to take this shade right here, the next deepest shade, and put that in the crease. And I have a lot of space between my crease and my eyebrow, so that's why I'm going to use a bigger brush here. So depending on the distance, might let you know what kind of brush to use. So I just want to buff this in really gently. Has that lovely kind of satiny finish, so not as many flaws are exposed with the application if you're concerned about really having a nice wash of color. I find that matte shades can, if there's an issue with application. Oh, I forgot bronzer. Okay, let me bronze in a bit here too. I think that mattes have that potential to bring about any imperfections in application. Okay, going in with the deepest shade here. Right here, I'm going to take the REPHR number 13 brush. Let me know if you have this palette, because I love this palette so much, because I know the result is going to be beautiful every time, no matter the order I apply the shades in or the versatility of it. Really a go-to when I need to make sure everything looks good. I'm just gonna go in and blend this a little bit with this color. Back with the same brush. The other shades I would use are the Chantecaille separates singles. They're eyeshadows, they're powder shadows, which I don't think get as much attention because they come out with those lovely limited edition quads, but their single shadows are beautiful. Let's go in with this shade right here. I'm going to take that and I'm going to just go in between here. You know how I do this, just to blur that transition between these two shades. And again, it doesn't have to be super perfect. And then we're going to go in with this lightest shade, and I'm going to take that and put that on the center. Okay, let me just blend a little bit better here. I'm going to take this 204 brush. It's a little bit bulkier than what I would normally do, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in a bit here with the eyeliner. So taking this deepest shade, I'm going to run that just across like the second half of my eye and do a soft wing shape. Just a really soft one. So if you don't want to put eyeliner, you can always do something like this. What I am going to do, I'm going to just take this shade right here and I'm going to go under the lash line. I just cleaned this brush off a little bit on a towel. Keep it really soft. Really soft. Okay, so I saw this floating around. That's the cap to the eye primer. Make sure you put that back on because it will dry out pretty quickly if you don't do that. I'm going to go in with this liquid liner by Chantecaille. It's Violette. It's so pretty. It's a lovely purpley shade. So I'm going to bring out the purple tone in this palette with that. I'm also going to tightline with Violet Damask by Chantecaille here in a little bit, but let me just show you. I'm going to just lay this down along the lash line. It has a little bit, just a little bit of a shimmery quality to it, which will catch the light, but it's so subtle. I think it's so pretty. And I usually do not go all the way to the center, like the beginning of my eye, but since this is so close to the lash line, I'm almost in the lash line here, I'm gonna go all the way to the front. So just like that. Very minor detail, but I think makes a big difference. I love how it catches the light. Let me tightline with Violet Damask and add a little bit of the, of course, not a little bit, I love mascara. We're gonna add Faux Longest Lash by Chantecaille. Okay, so I've gone in with mascara and I just tightlined with that Violet Damask. Now, it seems really bright. I wanna go in and build this crease a little bit. So I've got a different brush here. It's more taper 202. I'm gonna go in with the same shade here and go in the crease a little bit more, just so we get a little bit more definition here. So it's just gonna place that shadow more in the crease than in that whole area. I'm also gonna go in with this shade right here and build that from the exterior a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna take the Perfect Blur Glow Powder, the Lotus one, this one right here, and I'm going to take that all the way up, just like this, just to perfect a little bit more. Right under the brow. And then also here, can get kind of like messy sometimes if I'm not paying attention. Let's go in with the CdP Concealer just to clean it up. This CdP brush, concealer brush, has a nice clean edge on it. Just softening it now with the clean hands here. We're gonna go in with this ESUM dual-sided pencil. Platinum and black are the shades here, and I'm just gonna tightline with this. It's a really subtle glow. So nothing too much. I was looking for a bronzer. I don't know where some of my favorite bronzers went. And I just looked for them. So I was looking for the Sisley bronzer. Love that one. I would go in with that if I had it. I mean, I have it. I just don't know where it is at this point. So that's a great one. Something with a little bit of a glow. So I'm gonna go in with this Terracotta Light here. And this one's in medium. And I have the light one as well, the lighter shade. This one's in 3. This one's pretty as well. So I'm using this SONIA G brush. It's got a bit of warmth to it. Oh goodness, getting that all over. So I do love, so if you ever get any brush hairs, just use the spoolie to remove it really quickly. Otherwise I end up smudging my makeup. But this was a great one for a little bit of glow, kind of like what the Sisley delivers. Blush. I want to go in with a bit of Joy first. So I've got this little mini kabuki brush by Ray Morris. I'm going to pop that on the cheek. I think it's such a pretty shade. It's got a bit of cool to it. You can see right there. Then I know we talked about more perfecting. So I'm going to go in with this one, number 9. What's this one? By Valentino, because it's got a little bit of a peachy tone to it, which will help color correct. It also has a bit of a glow to it, which is going to help refract that light again, which is what I love to do with blush. So let's go in with this Rowan Blush and Blend brush. Then it just meshes those two together. So instead of just one blush, I love 2 blushes, builds in dimension. This also has a nice blurring effect, this blush. So you can see it's not bringing back texture right here in the front, although I can go in with that blur powder again if I need to. And I'm stippling here just because I have that concealer. I don't want it to move. So we'll stipple here and then smooth out the exterior. And then going in this upward motion as well. And then if you want, you can go in with that Buff and Blur brush, some of that leftover powder, and just stamp. So depending on your level of glow, like I might want to take down glow and add this. If you've been here before, you know I love a discontinued lip shade by Chanel. And let me get it. It's right here. It's called Endless Pink. So if you remember this one, it's one of the prettiest shades they ever had. Perfect for my skin tone because there was just a little bit of warmth. It's like my lips but better. So I'm going to show you a little dupe. So I actually tested this morning, and boy, it took a long time to figure out the best combination because I have several lip shades that look similar to this. I have these shades that look similar to this. So I'm going to show you what I do to get as close as I can. I know some of you missed out on this shade, and you might have some of these shades just to blend together. So I'm going with Endless Pink on the top here. And I love this to line the lips as well, so I can kind of cancel out my natural lip liner. I'm gonna let that dry, but it does brighten up my lip area a little bit, which I like. So it's like a Your Lips Better, but also brighter. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a combination of 2 shades. Now I just mixed these up on accident, so let me just double check. So this is Endless Pink here. Here's our combination. I had to try this a few times. Okay, so this is the dupe here that I've come close to. It's not exactly the same though. It's Tender Beige and Light Rose. So these 2 together, and then here's Endless Pink next to them. So you can see why I chose these 2. We need a little bit of depth and a little bit of bright and light. So I'm gonna go in really lightly with this Tender Beige, really lightly. And then I'm gonna go in with Light Rose. So you can see the tone's slightly off, but I'm gonna put gloss on it in a moment here. Let me tone that down a little bit with Tender Beige. Put a little on the back of my hand and just apply it like this. So you can see there's like a very fine balance between the two. I'm gonna go in with the gloss side now. So you can see it's missing just a little bit of that bright element to it with Endless Pink versus down here, but it's close. And some may prefer this because it's not as bright. But let me go ahead and do some hair here and let's talk about this and see how long we can wear it. When it comes to more flawless makeup, I'd like to go with not perfect hair because I feel like it can border on a pageant look when the complexion is perfected and the hair is perfected. So it's actually quite imperfect, my hair. I just went through it with a Dyson. I don't even have hairspray in it, but I like that contrast. So that's why I decided not to go with something super done on my hair. I have a few hairs in my face. So this is the final look. We're gonna wear this for about, oh gosh, I'm gonna see if we can do 5 or 6 hours. We'll see how long I can get this to go. But I will check in with you in a few hours and then at the end and see how this perfected complexion lasts. And I have to drive and put glasses on, so I might get some marks on my face from the glasses, and then we'll see. I have to fix that a little bit, but I will see how this goes for you over several hours of wear. And my hair is in my face, that's why I keep touching it, because I can see it in my eyes. Take a close look here. Looks really nice. And then we'll check in a few hours. Back with a 4-hour check-in, ran our errand. I wore sunglasses. Let's see how that's looking. Let me just look in the mirror here. Oh yeah, I filmed a little try-on video, which is why that bag is missing, so I used the bag. Looking really good though. And you can see here the lip. Ate a little bit of something, so let me just add a little of the gloss part back on. Oh, by the way, if you want something more bold for lip, this one's really pretty. I think I will have worn it in a video either previous to this or next. Number 43 is a really pretty shade as well. So if you wanted a Le Rouge Duo, I really love that one. So I'm gonna just take this gloss part. If I'm somewhere for that long at an event, I'm gonna bring a little bit of powder. So I'm just gonna take the Perfect Blur powder and I'm just gonna powder really gently here. So at these events where I want to look more flawless, I am probably not going to go without bringing touch-up products. So like that gloss piece I would bring, and I would bring this with me, just because it's a quick way to keep everything intact. Looked pretty good though before I did that, but just because I know I get oily hair, really helps. So that's 4 hours of wear. It looks really beautiful. So I'm gonna check in, gosh, in a couple hours. Actually, I'm going to take a shower, but not wash my face. So we're gonna see how it does in humidity. If you wanna see what that looks like, I'll show you after. So I'm gonna do a little cleaning and then do that, but not wash my face, and we'll get to see how it reacts to some humidity. Let me just put my hair back here because I think it's easier to see. I've changed one more time because I took a shower, like I said. Just didn't wash my face or my hair yet, but I was in that humid environment, and that was, gosh, a few hours ago at this point. So we are 7 hours into wear, and I just powdered that one time when we were on camera together. So here's what it looks like. I'm gonna powder though because I want to show you how really nice this is. If you are going to do a touch-up, you can make it look like it did 7 hours ago. So you can see there's a little bit, just a little bit of oil breaking through, but it looks really good. Take the Perfect Blur powder again and just touch up here. And I've eaten dinner as well. So I've eaten, so you can see that lip color as well. Works really well, the Chanel Le Rouge Duo. If I just repowder like this 7 hours later, it looks really, really good. And then if I just take my clean hands here and just tap under my eye area, like I would probably use eye drops just to refresh and just refresh this area. And that's why when I was asked about my favorite flawless foundation product, it's this, because it doesn't require a lot of makeup, because sometimes to even out the skin tone, it can take a lot more product, which can look really apparent on the skin. And this requires just a very, very fine layer of it. And then it really does a really lovely job of covering and staying in place over a long amount of time. So again, this was a 7-hour wear on this, and it looks beautiful. Really comfortable wear and nothing that bunches up or does anything funny over time. But that is it for today's video. So please take care of each other, stay well if you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.